haven't read through that one. Is this what I was reading on too?
Yeah, it's got some other room now. It'll fit good in here.
You ready to give the grand tour? Let's do this thing.
Oh, stop.
Alright guys, yesterday we posted the video announcing that we are opening a brick and mortar store in downtown Batesburg, Leesville, South Carolina, in partnership with McMurray Hatchery. Hey guys, editing Jess here, and I needed to break into this video and kind of explain just a little bit more because I want to be crystal clear. I had just a couple of people comment when we made the big announcement, and Tom and Ashley from McMurray Hatchery were here for our event this last weekend and made the announcement with us. I introduced them and talked about this partnership on the Homestead Exchange. A couple people said, oh, what is McMurray Hatchery closing? Absolutely not. It just didn't occur to me that people's minds would go there for not clarifying, but I want to clarify. McMurray Hatchery is doing just fine, and this is just another endeavor that they're going on and partnering with us on this. They have really just been extremely validating of this vision. I think we shared this with Tom like years ago for the first time. It was before 2020. I shared that this was something that we wanted to do. So we've become great friends over the years, and at this point they're just partnering with us on this and really helping us see it come to fruition because they believe in it. The hatchery is just fine, don't worry, you're still going to be able to get your chickens there. Alright, let's go back to the vlog and the tour of our new store. So the cat's out of the bag, we've been working on this, but there's actually a little more to what's going on than just that, and today we're going to give you a tour of the buildings and give you our general plan. Now we are on the early side of this process. We have met with the mayor, with the town planner, and have begun the process of permitting and getting all of the stuff in line with moving forward in demo. So really this video is kind of the before picture, if you will. Like, we really want to document the process of doing this. In order to document things well, you kind of have to establish your starting point. In the announcement video, you were so encouraging and so kind. Gosh, how many people told us that they were just tearing up with joy to see our dreams fulfilled. Thank you. Thank you so much. Some people expressed concern about us moving fast and like different things like that, and I get it. I understand that this is a lot to wrap your head around, but you have to keep in mind we're talking about a community effort. We're talking about hiring people, contractors, and all the things that are necessary to do commercial business endeavors like this. This is something that has been in the works for many months. We actually found this building and met with Mr. Sam, who owned it prior to us. He was the 4th generation in this store, and we met with him before Christmas on buying this. So we're letting you guys into the process now, but this is not something that's being done hastily, and I do feel like it's time. I feel like a homesteading store with the resources and the education for people to be able to learn to grow food here locally is very much a needed thing. All of that said, I am so excited to get to bring you guys in and share this with you. So yeah, let's tour the grounds of my dreams come true. So we are in downtown. It's the Batesburg side of Batesburg, Leesville. So the town that we live right outside of. We live actually 12 minutes from the store, which is really nice, really convenient. This town was 2 towns until I believe like the 90s. The 2 towns merged together. From what I understand, at that point the towns were struggling because I-20 was built, and whereas this used to be the main thoroughfare between Columbia, South Carolina and Augusta, Georgia, it got bypassed. And also a big textile factory that was here moved out of the country, and the town really suffered. So the 2 towns merged. It is a small town. We have a population of about 5,500, and this side of town, the Batesburg side, has some really great businesses here, but also has a lot of empty buildings. So the other side of town, the Leesville downtown, there are 2 small downtown areas. That one actually has a lot of businesses in it, and we purposefully wanted to be on this side of town. One, because it's closer to our house, but more than that, it's because we know that by opening businesses here, we're going to pull traffic. We're going to have events, we're going to have a farmer's market, and for us, starting a business where there are lots of empty buildings around, it brings that overflow. So I've always said that when you get the fulfillment of your dreams, if you break it open, it's full of seeds. And in planting those seeds, you get to let other people fulfill and experience that same fruit in their lives. And so a big part of us moving to a brick and mortar presence, obviously we'll still be posting videos, we'll still be doing the same things that we've been doing from our home, which is primarily going to be the seed of our business that we put our hands to. This is something that we will own and oversee and have a big part in, but expansion requires more people. But for us, the big draw of doing something in person is that we're going to help other people's dreams succeed. So that's why we want to be on the side of town with a lot of empty buildings, because I just imagine what little boutique stores and little shops and maybe restaurants and different things could fill up these other spaces that maybe prior to this a person couldn't take that risk of opening those businesses, because in a town of 5,000, you know, with no real guarantee of traffic, that's a pretty big risk. But if you're going to be across the street from a business that's going to pull traffic from all over, might make it a lot more worth it. All right, well, so we've been thinking about different ideas for our, you know, signage and colors and all of that. We've got a lot of things sketched out, but we have obviously haven't started work on that. And, oh, goodness. Ezra, what are you doing?
I'm trying to get some.
Hey, I told you, you gotta bring quarters. This is a place of business. You can't just help yourself.
I'm gonna try to find.
Why don't you go help Dad with what he's doing?
Yeah,
Look.
While I'm doing that, I'm helping. Ezra, I'm fitting me.
Y'all are taking all those metal things off? Good plan.
Yeah.
All right, so this is the store as we received it. We've actually had possession of the building for the last couple of months. And Maya and the boys are taking some of the like little metal pieces off of the displays. So we purchased this building. It was a hardware store and has been a hardware store for generations. It was called Fulmer Hardware. It's on Fulmer Street in the Batesburg side of Batesburg, Leesville. And it was really, really cool to get to meet Mr. Sam and his lovely wife and chat with them about what we hoped to see happen here in Batesburg and kind of what we wanted to do here. And part of the deal that we made, we bought the building, the lot, and the outbuildings, was that we asked if at all possible if we could keep the displays. So we won't be using all of these, but we are going to be repurposing quite a few of them because I really wanted there to kind of be a nod to the original store that was here. I think it's really precious. Legacy is important to me. I talk about that often, and I recognize the fact that we are picking up someone else's legacy and carrying it on and changing it into something different, but it's a legacy nonetheless. So Ginger, who does the marketing for McMurray Hatchery, came down a couple weeks ago, and she and I came and just measured everything and began to lay out the different sections of this store. And I don't want to give away all of the really cool details because we have some really cool little details that are going to be in this store. Obviously I don't get to bring everybody who watches our channel into our house, but I just thought it would really be very cool that when people visited here, they felt kind of some of the personal touches if they were fans of our vlog. So there's definitely going to be some of that in here, but it's also going to be just an extremely practical place and also a very inspiring place. So we're going to have lots of different products here, and my hope is that people could come here and get their first chicks and everything that they need to brood them, that they can come get treats for their existing chicken flocks and egg baskets and aprons, as well as dairy supplies. You know, being a homesteader and having been in this life, and prior to having my own homestead, really kind of getting my feet wet in the kitchen. I mean, I've never been able to just run down to a store and buy cheese culture or a yogurt culture. Like if I lose part of my filter where I filter my milk for my cows, or prior to that my goats, I have to order a new one. There's nowhere that I could go to a brick and mortar place and buy something like that. But in here, this is going to be practical in that you can come and get those supplies in person, that you can come buy a sourdough starter, that you can come buy a kombucha SCOBY, that you can also get the things that you need to go with that to use those. And we're planning on covering lots of different things like beekeeping, gardening, having books, kitchen supplies, chicken keeping, home dairy, butchering tools, all of that stuff. And also having gifts and handmade pottery and being able to feature products that are made in the U.S. and as well as local artisans. Now there are a couple of really cool things that I'm very excited to include. Like kind of a living room area up here in the front where on the coffee table we will have copies of all the books that we sell, the homesteading books, my books, friends' books, books that I have found useful and inspiring, but we'll have copies that people can just come sit in here and read them. If you've been here long, you know my story, and that I remember like the moment of surrender for me was sitting in a Barnes & Noble reading a book that I couldn't afford to buy, crying my face off on that spread and feeling like my homesteading dream was a million miles away. And it's something that this section, whenever I was talking to Ginger about laying it out, I was like, this section is important for me to have because I want people to know that they can come and sit here and take their time and read that book cover to cover if they want to, and then put it back on the coffee table for somebody else. And that is 100% welcome here. Now Maya's had some really cool ideas, one of which I think is brilliant and I'm so excited to get to offer, which is the rental
Oh, I was like, where are you going with
equipment.
this?
You're like,
oh. Bunker opens up. Down, tunnel. No, not that idea.
Not that one. Okay. So yeah, tell us about your idea about having equipment for rent.
So I was thinking, and because I've run into this myself, you know, a plucker and let's say a scalder for chicken processing, a decent one, you're looking at $2,000 investment probably to get a set of those, and you use them probably for the normal homesteader like twice a year, maybe three times a year, depending on what level you're at. That's a big investment for something you don't use very much.
Right, especially when you're just trying to offset your food costs.
Right. So
that doesn't offset it.
Why not set up a tool rental space kind of like that, but only do like pluckers and scalders and maybe like honey spinners and different things like that we could rent out for the weekend or for a day rate or something. Figure out those details, but kind of shoulder some of the heavier equipment costs to get into these things without putting that on
new homesteaders.
Yeah.
I love that idea. So yeah, essentially makes it accessible where people can maybe order those meat chickens without having to have the upfront cost of that equipment.
I think it would be a benefit to everybody.
I'm so excited about stuff like that because I just remember when we were first getting started that we didn't raise meat chickens. We had butchered our first meat chickens, hand plucked them all and ended up skinning them, and then butchered some turkeys and did the same, and it took so long. And we would have started raising our own meat long before if we could have afforded to buy that equipment. And I know that's where it came for him, because once we were able to buy that equipment, you know, we've loaned it out to friends, but I know that he's remembering that. And so by having a service where people can, for a very affordable rate, you know, rent stuff for a weekend or for a couple days, I just think it's really going to help a lot of people get into growing food. So back here is my most favorite part of this plan, which is this little room back in the back. It's not little, it's pretty good size. You can see this is the classroom. So this makes my little teacher heart just swell to bursting. This is going to be a classroom that we will be having all kinds of classes. We will be having classes that are open to the community that will include the equipment that's necessary. We'll be teaching some of these ourselves, as well as connecting with some other local teachers that have different skill sets. And my hope is that this classroom, that these four walls, when I come in here, I'm just amazed at the possibility of what these four walls could hold in the future. I just imagine people coming here and a love for gardening being sparked in them. We're planning on putting a kitchen over in the corner, just a small kitchen, where we can teach things like canning in person. Obviously, we're going to continue making YouTube videos and content and we plan on developing courses in the future and all of that stuff. That stuff's not going away, but this is just another level of being able to teach, because a lot of people need hands-on to learn. So yeah, this is gonna be some random classes on Thursday night, weekend classes that are, you know, multiple classes throughout a weekend. There will be all of that. We are not at the place yet of having a calendar or anything like that. We're planning on the whole place grand opening next spring, but when that grand opening is coming near, there will be a calendar and registration and all of that, so you can go ahead and get your name on those classes. I'm sure some of them will fill up really quickly, and we were talking, you know, we might look into trying to do some streaming and some different things so that we can make this available to more people, but I just feel like the possibilities are endless in here and what we might be able to do to offer options for people to teach the world how to grow food, because that's what we're trying to do, right? It's very, very special to me to imagine offering the ability for people to just come in and get hands-on learning. I am actually very much a hands-on learner, and sometimes I have a very hard time comprehending books and even videos. Videos are a little easier because of the visual, but for me, once I do something once, I know how to do it. And with things like pressure canning and sourdough and, you know, making herbal remedies and like all of these different things, I know people watch videos, but then they're too nervous to take the leap. So I'm thinking if they could come and have a guided class with a hands-on teacher, that they'll leave confident enough to do those things themselves. So back here in the corner, our current plan is for this big section to be the gardening section, which is very, very exciting. Seeds, tools, green stalks, all the things that I love using in gardening. I do also really love the idea of having a community seed library, because I get so many seeds sent to me. Then, you know, like I might take some out and grow them, but I have plenty to share. When I lived in Arkansas, our library actually had a seed bank library, and I would donate a lot of seeds to them. But I haven't found that here yet. Not saying it doesn't exist, but if it does, I haven't been connected to it yet. But I would really love the idea of having a seed library where people could come in and go through the seeds and take what they want. And then we'll also have seeds for sale, you know, like new stuff and all of that. But again, we're thinking retail, making things available to people, but also looking to have options available to everybody, and really be able to partner with the community to start growing food. Are y'all ready to go outside and show them out there?
Yeah. If they didn't see back there, if they saw Corday, they would have saw this.
Well, they left that because I think that's a worthless token.
But it's cool.
The quarter is valuable. The kids are looking for a quarter for the gumball machine.
And if I find one,
I don't think you're going to find one. But, I mean, keep hoping.
He said, I looked in your truck. I saw dimes, nickels, and pennies. He said, if there was a quarter, I'd be chewing gum right now.
All right, so now here's the part that we haven't talked a lot about yet. Out back. Oh, this makes me so excited. All right, so I've mentioned multiple times in passing about my dream for a coffee shop. And we have actually already ordered a roaster and the equipment needed, so that's being built for us right now. And Noah Parker, so you guys have met him because he's been working with us since January. Noah Parker was not hired as a farmhand. He was hired as a coffee roaster. So Noah Parker's dad is actually a coffee roaster, so he grew up around that. And we met him, and his passions in life was homesteading and coffee, and got to talking with him, and we actually hired Noah to roast coffee. So he's starting training here shortly, and our equipment should be here later this year. And this building out back here is such a cool place. This was an old burger joint in like the 60s, and this is actually the future home of our roasting company. No, we're not going inside.
I really want to go inside.
I know, we're not going inside. Daddy has the keys. We're gonna go around back. I'm gonna finish this video so we can get some, so we can go eat dinner.
That sounds great. I'm hungry.
Sounds great. So some of you commented, because you don't miss a beat, that on the chalkboard in my kitchen it says, grow a garden, drink good coffee, hear the earth sing. And that is the tagline for Beulah Roasting Company, which will be hopefully painted on this wall, is what I'm imagining. And our plan is to kind of develop this back area. I'm kind of picturing this with like a patio and where people can walk up here. And we're gonna start with a small kind of coffee pop-up shop here in the back. And eventually, I'll show you the place next door to this, which is also part of this whole thing. The coffee shop will be there in the house next door, and this will be used for farmers market days and when we have like book signings and events that we have a lot more people, plant sales. And I'm just dreaming back here of this being like a really beautiful community space that when we have these things we can have book signings and seed swaps and plant swaps and all of that stuff and have this nice big outdoor space that we can meet and we can drink good coffee while we do it. Are you thinking about coffee?
No, I was yawning because I'm already tired thinking about all the work.
So this is actually phase 1 of our plans. This building, we're waiting right now because these are older buildings, so we've been getting all of like the asbestos testing and all of this stuff done so that we can move forward with all of our I's dotted and T's crossed. But this is first. The roofer is coming in a couple of weeks to put the new roof on this, and our hope is to be shipping coffee by the end of this year. So yes, that will be available. Again, that's something that we're making available to our viewers, and I'm very excited about this. Just like when your passions, your dreams come alive, that's what this is for me. All right, I'm gonna go over and show the coffee house. You wanna pull over there to pick me up and lock up the building?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, you coming, little boy?
Yeah.
Don't step on those ants. Ooh, all boys coming. All right, so when we first found this building, it felt very, very perfect for us. I was so excited that it was gonna like be enough space and these outbuildings and the alley and like all of this stuff. I was like, this is so perfect. We're gonna have our farmers market here. We've already talked to the mayor about that, of having the farmers market that is out here. The city already has slated to build a park over here on this corner in 2023. So like this is gonna be amazing. But I knew that it was part of Tom's dream to sell chicks in the store. And it was my dream to have this coffee house as part of this complex. And while we have the roasting here, that's gonna take a lot of space, roasting and then having all the shipping stuff. That's really gonna fill that building up. We can do the pop-up, but I really wanted to be able to create an atmosphere. I wrote my first book in a coffee house. that has been a big part as a mom who had kids at home working. Like that was my peaceful place, was to go to a coffee house. A place called Blue Sail in Conway was like the place that I mean, I can't tell you how many of the videos that you've watched were edited in that place. And I wanted to create that. It is literally like a deep-rooted dream for me. And I knew we can't have a coffee house and chickens in the same building. That's not gonna work. So I came down here and I was driving like around this block over and over and over. And I was praying and I was like, okay, I'm missing a piece. I need to see a piece. I'm missing something. I know this is perfect. I was like, God, I know this is you, but I'm missing something. And then finally, one of my times around the block, I realized, there's the roasting house, there's the shop. I realized that right behind was this house, this beautiful old house with massive magnolia trees in the front. I don't know that you could climb that tree, buddy, but you know what? Every time I come, I give that tree a hug.
Why?
Because she's got grandma arms. Look at her. Isn't she lovely?
Mom, I have a question.
Yeah, y'all can go around to the walnut tree. I'm going to shoot this video, okay?
Mom, I have a question.
Yeah.
Do you think this is as old as like Abraham Lincoln?
No, this is not that old.
How old is it? Like World War II?
No, 1901, before World War II and before World War I, but after Abraham Lincoln.
1902?
1901 is when this was built.
That's old.
Yeah. Toby's right. This house is old. And we've met out here with our contractor and an architect, and this is phase 3. We're very likely will have the shop open before this is anywhere near done, because this house needs a lot of work. But she's got good bones, that's what they say. Truly, the original parts of this house, built in 1901, were made with virgin heart pine, which, if you know about lumber, virgin lumber like that, it is rot resistant and water resistant, bug resistant. It's amazing the shape that the original parts of this house are in, but it does need a whole lot of work. But I feel like it's an important one, and it is something that's very precious to me. Jeremiah and I, recently I've shared with you guys because of his horses, we really value the fact that we have different dreams from each other. And horses is one of Jeremiah's dreams, but building his own house is another.
There's my ride.
Oh, there's Daddy. And though I have always loved old houses, just loved them, I realized the fact that buying an old house and remodeling it to live in, the brunt of that would fall on him, and he has really made all of my dreams come true. So that was something that I yielded in, and like, okay, for our forever home, we'll build a new house. And I feel like this coffee house was just a little sweet thing for me, for kind of giving up that idea of having an old house to redo. And so this, I have been collecting and thrifting for the last 6 months. Vintage botanical decor, like all different kinds of art, and it's really cool because so many of you guys send me that kind of stuff that I haven't always had room for, but I've kept because it was so kind to be sent to me. And this is going to give me a place to display all of that stuff. So literally I am just alive with ideas for this coffee house. As you can see here, which obviously this all needs to be very cleaned up, and it will be, but the alley behind the exchange connects to the backyard of the future coffee house. And so back here, I imagine setting this up like a suburban homestead and having a little movable chicken coop, gardens, a rabbit hutch, where when people come here to get a cup of coffee, to shop at the store, to come to a book signing, to come to a farmer's market, to come to a plant sale, or just to pop in on a Saturday afternoon. I imagine people getting to walk around and like see a garden and see chickens and sit down and enjoy this little refuge for a minute. So this is it. This is our lovely dream, the thing that we've been working on, the thing that we've been hinting at. And ultimately, this is the reason why we've been building our farm so fast. We've told you guys, when we get there, we're going to build our farm fast. We're going to throw everything we have at it so that we can then move on to our community efforts. Because ultimately, a place like this is needed, and it's going to have so much value for people. And this is my dream. And all of this is my way of busting it open and getting the seeds out. Because when I walk through this place, I am just massively inspired by the imagination of how many homesteads will be planted from the seeds that come from these grounds. So thank you, as always, for being supportive. If you would like to be in on the loop, hearing all of the updates on this stuff, because I know things can get lost in videos, make sure you are signed up for our mailing list at rootsandrefuge.com. I'll put a direct link down below that you can do that. And as always, thank you for hanging out with me from the very beginning, every single day, today, and through this process. Thank you for hanging out with me. It makes all the difference. I bless you guys. Until next time.